Hi, my name is Megan Bazzi, and this year my group put on trivia night for the Association of Outdoor Recreation and Education. It was for their annual conference that they do every year. Normally they would get to have it in person, but obviously with the pandemic, everything has had to change and be readjusted. So we were fortunate enough to get the opportunity to put on their events for them, and my group was in charge of trivia night. When we first got together to make the plan for trivia night, we used the outline that we had created in our leadership class. Because we had put on an event for then, we had to create a whole outline. So it was just like a perfect outline and had like most of the components that we would need in creating this. So we just used that as our outline. We included what equipment we would need, which we had said a whiteboard, which we did not end up needing because it would have been to keep track of the points, but we used an Excel sheet instead. There were a couple things that we included in the plan that we had to go back and change because of it just more efficient or just other things that I'll talk about later. We also had a Zoom link and then obviously a computer or phone, something to which you could Zoom on. The environment was obviously Zoom. For the objectives, we had two. The cognitive one was we wanted the participants to leave with some sort of new piece of knowledge about outdoor recreation. Obviously, they have quite a bit of knowledge about outdoor recreation because they're at a conference for it, but we wanted them to learn something new, which I think we accomplished, honestly. And we had an effective one, which was we wanted the participants to interact with another person or us, which I also think we achieved because everyone was talking and we were very fortunate to have people who did interact, so it made it less awkward. So I think that went well. The organization of the group was how we were going to divide them into teams. So we were going to originally send them into breakout rooms. They would go into one breakout room, meet their team, and then that would be their breakout room and team for the entire duration. But they would send them out, and then they would bring them back, and then for each question, and then we would also have one of our representatives go in with them, get their answer, and then they would be the ones to give it to the scorekeeper to keep things fair and everything. However, we did have to end up changing that because we were originally not sure if we would be able to control breakout rooms because when we were practicing, it didn't let us. And then also there was about 7 people, so sending them to teams was just not logical. So we ended up not doing that, and we just had them all play individually, which honestly worked out for the better. We also had the directions or purpose of the game, which was obviously to get the most points because you wanted to win. The directions we had that we were gonna have 45 seconds in the breakout rooms, which we ended up bringing to 30 because we didn't go into the breakout rooms. They didn't need that extra section to talk. They could just think about it. Then we had 5 rounds with 5 questions in each round, and then we had a final Jeopardy question at the end, and then all the questions were worth 10 points. So we just explained how that would go. We also had restrictions in there, which we said was no like outside sources, so like no internet and stuff like that, 'cause it's cheating. And we had no talking to other teams, but that was also kind of eliminated. We didn't do breakout rooms because everyone was there with us, so we kind of knew if they were talking. Lastly, we included the jobs for what each person in our group would be doing during this. So I was the moderator, which was like the host essentially. So I like introduced everyone and did stuff like that. We had the scorekeeper, which was Keith, who got all the answers from the players. They would message him individually and send him the answers. And then we had the representatives who would originally were going to go into each breakout room, but obviously we didn't do that. So instead we just rotated around and each person read a question and then the answer, and they were kind of the host for that question, which I think honestly kind of was better because it wasn't just me talking. Everyone got to talk and interact. So I think that worked out all around for the best. And then lastly, we had the categories for each question. So we had national parks, geography, endangered species, outdoor recreation activities, and then the history of outdoor recreation. Next, I should say this, in that planning stage, only 4 of us were there, which I personally don't 100% fault the other 3 players who didn't come because Teams is just so bad with notifications, and since that was what we were using as our main form of communication, there was a lot of miscommunications and like people not knowing when we were meeting. On one hand, I think that like people could have been more like taken more initiative and remembered, and I set an alarm. That's the only reason I remembered. But on the other hand, there was miscommunication. If you didn't check it, then that explains why you weren't there. The next time we met, however, was to make the PowerPoint for the thing, and everyone was there, thank God. We all worked together, and I think we worked very cohesively when everyone was there. We had an intro slide in there, which was just like to introduce that as a trivia game. We introduced ourselves, that we are from Coastal, just like an introduction to everyone. The next slide was rules, but obviously no computers, no like working with other people and stuff like that. And then the rest of the slides that we made were just it had the name of the category, and then it had 5 questions, question, answer, and then end of category, and then the start of the next one. Creating this PowerPoint wasn't necessarily hard because we had like when we made the meeting before, we made a document for everyone everyone had to write 5 questions, and we just made like a question for each category, and it worked out. And we just picked the best ones that we thought would be hard enough, but not absurdly hard or absurdly easy. And so we could just put them, but it did take a long time because there's 50 slides. So it took a long time to make it, but it wasn't necessarily hard. But overall, everyone worked together well, and I thought we did a great job and worked super cohesively. And then lastly, the event, I personally think that it went great. I thought it ran very smoothly. I thought that the participants like really interacted with us, which helped us a lot because it allowed us to keep asking them questions, and like they were excited to be there, which obviously is just what you want from participants when you're running an event. Everyone, all of our people in our group worked and like interacted because we all read a question, so it wasn't like it was one person doing it the whole time. And I think that the participants actually had fun. They seemed like they were like having fun interacting with each other from all different places, even though they couldn't come together. It was kind of like a sense of normal for them. And they liked it, and they even asked us to send our PowerPoint, as you know. So they wanted to use it for other people. So I think that my group did a great job. I thought we worked well together, and I thought that our trivia event went great. Thanks.